Hi, everybody. Welcome to Candidates Night, presented by the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce. My name is Chelsea DeGonzo. I am the Community Events Director with the Yarmouth Chamber, and I will be moderating tonight's forum. I'd like to welcome all of our candidates here tonight, those here in the audience and those who are watching at home. We'll start off by introducing our candidates. The three candidates who are running for 2 3-year seats on the school committee are Emily Bryson, Thomas McGinty, and Tracy Nieder. The 2 candidates who are running for the 2 3-year seats on town council are Janice Cooper and Zoe Wolf. We will have our candidates introduce themselves and cover questions sent in by community members. These questions have not been seen in advance by the candidates. Each candidate will have either 1 or 2 minutes to answer, and there will be no rebuttal or discussion period. To wrap up tonight's programming, each person will have an opportunity for a closing statement. We ask that candidates answer questions within the time provided. Betsy Pajotto, Assistant Events Director of the Yarmouth Chamber, is seated in the front row with a 30-second warning. This will indicate that it is time to wrap up, and please stop when alerted. We ask that the audience remain respectful of the candidates and of other attendees. Time will be provided after the televised program for further discussion with the candidates if you would like to chat with them. So we are going to open up the night with a 2-minute opening statement from each of our candidates. So during this time, please introduce yourself to the voters of Yarmouth and tell us why you are seeking election and what skills and experience you would bring if elected. We are going to start with Emily Bryson down at the end. And you will have 2 minutes.
Thank you. So my name is Emily Bryson. My husband and I moved to Yarmouth in 2019. And one of the things that drew us here was just the sense of community. You can never drive through town, no matter what time it is, without seeing people out walking on the sidewalks or in the park, kids riding their bikes to school. We have 2 daughters, 3-year-old who will be going to Yarmouth Pre-K next fall, and we have a 7-year-old who's currently in 2nd grade. I have a degree in recreational therapy, and I have experience working as a mental health provider doing counseling and corrections. I also worked as a professional live-on staff member at a university, and then for the last 13 years, I've been working in long-term disability insurance. My team that I manage ensures quality within insurance and ensures payment accuracy, going out to people who are disabled and counting on money while they're out of work. So my experience through all of those jobs have taught me how to listen to people from all different backgrounds. I know how to engage in discussion without being reactive, even when I have strong opinions. And I know the importance of explaining the why behind our decisions and making sure that there's transparency in everything that we're doing. I've also served for 4 years on the Program Advisory Committee. I served on the Comprehensive Steering Plan Committee, and I am now the co-chair of the Comprehensive Plan Implementation Committee. My time on those committees has given me the opportunity to meet with and engage with the community, and I'm excited to bring my skills and my time in the town to this position here on the school committee, sorry. Our schools are really special and excel in teaching our kids not only the normal subjects they need to know, but also how to be a good friend and neighbor. And I want to engage and ensure that they're able to continue to do that moving forward.
Thank you. Next we have Thomas McGinty.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Tom McGinty. My wife and I moved to Yarmouth in 2007, long before we had kids. The town drew us here. We loved the Main Street. We loved the people. I was involved with coaching baseball at the time, and everybody I spoke to said, you should go to Yarmouth, and you should go coach in Yarmouth. It's a wonderful town, great schools, great kids. So we decided to do that, and we had an eye on raising a family here. We had children in 2013 and 2018. I have a 12-year-old in 6th grade and a 6-year-old in 1st grade right now. And the skills that I'm going to bring to the school committee, I learned through my liberal arts education at Davidson College, learned how to think critically, learned how to problem solve, which I think is a key skill to have when you're on a school committee, because most things require critical thinking. And I've been in the insurance business for 25 years, learned how to negotiate, learned how to be fiscally responsible, make sure that things are balanced and add up and are valuable. You want to make sure there's a value in everything we're doing. And having been here for 18 years, I recognize that the people of Yarmouth put a lot into this town, both financially and through their own sweat. And I want to be on the school committee to support that and protect that. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Tracy Nieder.
Good evening. I'm Tracy Nieder. I'm running for school committee. And my husband, my daughter, and I have been here for the last 13 years. She's now a graduating senior on Sunday. So we have watched the wonderful things that the school system has done all through her career. And I'm excited to be here tonight to hopefully be a part of that process on the side of the school committee. Those who know me would be quick to tell you that I'm a behind the scenes, keep your head down, sit in the back row kind of person. But I'm also a teacher, and I've got more than 30 years of experience in being flexible and being proactive and being able to drop and shift at a moment's notice. I also know how important it is to support young people on their way to becoming independent, thoughtful, capable citizens. So I'm here tonight challenging myself to show up for our town in a new way. I'm hoping to be a more active citizen as a member of the school committee, and I look forward to listening to and collaborating with all members of our strong Yarmouth community. I hope that this process of civic engagement will not only help me to learn and grow, but will provide a model for our young people as they consider what it means to be citizens in today's world. Thank you.
Thank you. So those are our school committee candidates. Now on to town council. We will go with Janice Cooper.
Thank you. My name is Janice Cooper, and I want to thank the Chamber for organizing this discussion, and I'm grateful to those of you who are here and those of you who are listening remotely. Why am I running for town council? First of all, Yarmouth has been my home for almost 3 decades. I know and love this community better than any other place I have ever lived. While I may never be a native, Yarmouth is my true home. My husband Bill and I moved here when our youngest child, Becky, was 8 years old. She received an exceptional education in Yarmouth Public Schools. She learned to think creatively and critically and to meet difficulties in class, social interactions, as well as in ice hockey, where she was the first girl to compete with boys on the varsity team. For that feat, she became a town legend. We loved Yarmouth from the start for its physical beauty, wonderful people, and extraordinary services, including its highly capable town government. We walked and biked its trails, canoed up and down the Royal River, and walked our golden retrievers on its trail. We shopped and ate here frequently. We made lifelong friends. Yarmouth is everything a small town should have. My goal as town councilor is to protect these gems and to enhance its appeal in new ways, including more commercial development and more affordable housing that will allow workers and young new arrivals and older residents to afford to stay here. As a senior citizen, I know how rising costs drive out people like me. We must continue to find solutions. Having a variety of people live here is what makes a community rich in ideas and talents. My devotion to Yarmouth was sealed forever when tragedy struck my family. In August 2011, almost 14 years ago, Becky was killed in an accident while volunteering abroad. The shock and sorrow of our loss has never lessened, but I will never forget that in its aftermath, friends and strangers rallied to our side, taking out our trash, mowing our lawn, helping to bring Becky home. And then we gathered together with hundreds of others to celebrate her brief but extraordinary life. At her memorial service, hundreds filled the Congregational Church, with hockey players in their jersey lining the walls. Her high school friends organized the beautiful service. a testament of their love for her. Since then, I have tried to return that kindness. In the year following the loss of Becky, I helped found Firehouse Arts, which provided low-cost art classes to children and adults. I ran for and was elected to the Maine House of Representatives, representing Yarmouth. It was an extremely rewarding experience. Voters returned me to that office 4 times until I was termed out. The desire to serve Yarmouth is still in my bones, and I'll stop there because I've run out of time. Thank you.
All right, Zoe Wolf.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming out, and thank you to the Chamber for hosting us. I was elected to the Town Council first in 2021 after moving to the town of Yarmouth in 2019. And some may ask, how does that happen? And the reason that it happened for me is that civic engagement and public service are a deep core value of mine. And when I arrived in this town, I knew that if this was somewhere that I wanted to live and build a family, which it continues to be and is, it's somewhere where I want to be deeply invested in the community. When I decided to move my practice, I'm a clinical social worker, and when I decided to move my practice from working in agency settings to running my own business with a business partner of mine, we decided that there was no better place to open a practice than in Yarmouth. And so I also have owned and operated my own business in Yarmouth since 2021, which has been a great privilege. We're over at 253 Main Street, the offices that I lovingly call Therapist Alley, because there's about 1,000 therapists in there, and I'm one of them. And it's been so wonderful to live and to work in Yarmouth. I think highlight of my office, aside from the work that I'm allowed to do, is watching Clamfest go up from my window every year. I get to see the carnival arrive and take shape, and it's really, really just wonderful to be part of a community that has such a beautiful celebratory atmosphere. During my time in the council, I've become well acquainted with the specific and universal challenges facing our town. Yarmouth is struggling with the same issues facing many towns in cities in Maine. How do we provide services to our residents without overburdening those who can hardly afford their taxes as is? How do we balance the necessity and inevitability of growth with the fragility and preciousness of our natural environment? What does it mean to be truly inclusive in a community as highly desirable as Yarmouth? How do we encourage business growth without losing the elemental nature of a small New England town? In my time on the council, I've worked to explore these dialectics while looking at the realities available to us to resolve some of the conflicts inherent in them. I would be excited to serve Yarmouth in a second term as town councilor. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, everybody. So tonight's format, we are going to have some questions that are asked for both groups, and then there are other questions that are going to be directed towards the individuals. So this first question is for both, and we are going to start with the candidates for town council. So Janice, you will be the first to answer, and then it'll be Zoe. The question is, what aspects of Yarmouth do you believe are working especially well, and what areas need improvement? For the area that you have identified, what specific changes would you advocate for if elected?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I've always found the people in town hall to be extremely responsive and efficient. So I think that is working well and always has for the 28 years that I've been here. I got to say, when I first got here, I was kind of an outsider and felt that, but not anymore. Everyone is very welcoming. As for what can be improved, you know, when my daughter was a teenager, she and her friends used to get stopped by the police, and I call it driving while young. There was no reason to stop them. They were just suspected of doing something wrong. So I think that I mean, this is old information, so it may not even be true anymore. But I felt like young people have a prejudice against them. That they just assume that they're up to no good sometimes, and that the police could do with greater sensitivity on that issue. So it's not a big deal. Obviously, she never got in trouble, so nothing was going on in the car. But yeah, it was demeaning and shouldn't happen. Thank you.
All right, Zoe?
Yeah, thank you. There are so many things working well in the town of Yarmouth. I could probably talk about this for 5 hours. And if anyone wants a nice bedtime story, I can certainly record it and you can listen to it to help you fall asleep. The list is so long. Our schools work beautifully. Our town staff do amazing work on a shoestring budget. We just had an audit of our budget process from an outside agency who found that we are really very transparent and very accurate in line item by line item in the budget process. So I'm very proud of the transparency, the efficiency, and the precision of both the schools and the town government in Yarmouth. I think that there are, of course, areas for improvement. And one that comes to the top of my mind is improvement for our process around land acquisition and conservation. Right now, we are at a very sort of interesting moment in the development of our town where there's just such a high demand to be here. And one of the reasons that there's such a high demand to be here is the beautiful open spaces that we have. And so working as a town to have more responsive and nimble instruments for land acquisition when and if land becomes available that the town deems important to conserve would be a really important thing. And in conjunction with that, having a nimble instrument for affordable housing, for land acquisition and development of affordable housing. And we are working on that at the town level right now, developing with a local development corporation to sort of come together and see how can we move quickly and swiftly to address the important issue of affordable housing in town. And along with that, and I think that this is just something that I've really brought to my time in the council, is a culture of equity in decision-making around things like affordable housing. So if we can't move to buy a property or develop a property, how can we look at programs in town to support folks who are maybe at the margins to be able to shave off some of the costs that make it really difficult to live in a home and maintain a home when you're on a fixed income. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now we're going to the same question over to the school committee. We're going to start with Emily Bryson.
So what I feel like is working well in town, and I'm going to focus more on the schools because we're the school committee. So I think that the things that we do really well in school, we have the best teachers. No matter who you talk to, you ask what teacher their kid has, they have the best teacher. Every teacher is great. I think we have a great sense of community in the schools. All the kids are friends, they're kind and caring, they're taught to respect each other. We went over and met Tom the other day on Saturday, and we were leaving. My daughter says, I think I'm going to call them Mr. and Mrs. McGinty. And I was like, that's just so nice. Like, they just learn these things from each other in school, and that's something I really value and cherish, is just how kind they are. And something I'd like to see changed, I want to look at the cell phone policy in our schools. I have a niece who went to Chewonki, where they're not even allowed to bring their schools, and the connections that they made and the friendships that they made were huge. And I have another niece who went to a restricted cell phone policy and then went to a banned cell phone policy. And she said to me, it's so nice that the kids are looking at each other and talking to each other. And to me, I was just like, oh man, to have a 15-year-old say that to you is pretty impactful. So it's something that I think would be really great for our community. And just to try to maintain what we have that's special, that's why I'm running for town council, is because I want our kids to continue to be kind and caring, and for our schools to be a community and support our great teachers and keep them here.
All right, now we're going to go to Tracy Nieder for this next question.
like Emily said, I'll focus on schools since that's my purpose for being here tonight. And again, as a parent of a graduating senior, there's so much that's so wonderful about this entire system, from the people to the processes. I think one of the things Yarmouth does really well is live its mission statement as a school district. Everyone talks about creating well-rounded citizens, but Yarmouth really holds that true in all of the decisions that they make. And they make sure that they are putting into play all of the practices and all of the best methods to create young people who are coming out of here capable and independent and thoughtful and kind. And they really have the whole package. So I'm thrilled to be here, and I don't think I would be here if I didn't believe firmly in what Yarmouth was already doing. So I can learn a little something and also be a part of something that is already so great. As far as what needs improvement, I think that's partly up to me to learn if I'm elected. But also, I think one of the things that's foremost in everyone's mind is where we are going to find the resources to continue to do right by students if there's federal funds that are being taken away or that are being limited that we've gotten used to having. And so I think that's an area that maybe doesn't need improvement, but needs a lot of thoughtful deliberation and discourse and decision-making to be happening. And so that's something that I'm keenly aware of needing to keep in the forefront as we make those decisions for the students that are in front of us and for the people that are helping those students to do well.
Thank you. Now, Tom.
Thank you. Going third, I will echo what they both said, but I'll try and be a little bit unique in my answer. While we have wonderful, wonderful teachers in the school district, one thing that I think is going very well are the administrators. I've lived in numerous towns throughout my life, and never have I had administrators in schools that were so involved in the students' daily lives, knowing parents by name, and greeting everyone at the door. I think it's a wonderful aspect of Yarmouth that our administrators are so involved in the daily lives of our kids. In terms of things that I think we can do better, there are a number of them. I agree on the technology issue. I think it's a very critical one, especially with a 12-year-old. It's a really critical age. But I also think that we have to be thoughtful about it because we can't fall behind in technology where everybody else is using it. So it's a very critical thing, and it requires a lot of critical thinking and discussion. And the second thing I think we really need to focus on and work on is the mental health of our kids. I think it gets kind of pushed to the side a little bit by many, and they have a lot of new things in their lives that they're dealing with, the technology, all the things that are going on in the world that they don't totally understand. And a lot of them don't know how to talk about that, who to talk to. And I think it's something that we really have to support them in.
Thank you. So this next round of questions is going to be directed to our town council candidates. So we're going to start with Zoe for this. So a majority of the questions from residents were concerning taxes. And many, especially seniors or those on fixed incomes, are feeling increased financial pressure. Budgets are tight, and deciding what to cut or save is extremely difficult. So what would you bring to the budget planning process, changes you'd make, and how would you address the increasing tax burden and affordability for residents who are struggling to keep up?
Thank you. I think the first thing that I want to say about this question is I understand why there were so many who inquired about it. I recognize some of you from meetings in the budget process, and some of you I'm seeing for the first time. And so I apologize if I'm repeating myself or you've heard me say this before. We, as a municipality, have one instrument essentially available to us to raise the funds that we need to run our town. And unfortunately, that is property taxes. This is codified in the Maine state constitution that we levy the same taxes unilaterally regardless of income or value of home. And we really don't have many other levers we can pull in terms of generating revenue for the town. We can develop business in the town, which we are really working to do. I've had some really interesting conversations around the Wyman plant, what the future of that plant will be, how it can begin to generate more tax revenue for the town to spread out the tax base. In the meantime, as a social worker, I take it seriously that people have seen a meaningful and disturbing increase in their tax rates. I can tell you that the $2,000 difference between when I was first elected to council and now on my own home is $2,000 that I miss and that my family misses. And I am deeply troubled by the idea that this mechanism is the one that we pull on, which continues to burden people who are at the margins and make our community less diverse and less stable. And so to answer the question, I will say that we have to broaden the tax base. You know, economic development is incredibly important. And I also think that there are programs that we can run within the town that help folks with subsidies to help for home improvements, say, or ADUs, say, things that can help them generate income or cut edges off of their expenses in their homes. That is a break for them. And the last thing I'll say, and I see the stop sign, and I'm sorry, is that I'm really proud of the work we did this year to expand the stay program to try to help folks who are trying to age in place in their homes, who are unfixed incomes, have access to some form of property tax relief, which is the only form of property tax relief that the state allows us to engage in. I take it seriously. I welcome anyone's feedback who wants to talk to me about taxes and taxes in the town, and I feel it on a personal level. So you asked me the question that I can't stop talking about first.
Sorry, there might be a couple of those. Thank you, Zoe. Janice.
Thank you. Obviously, property taxes are the largest source of income for the town, but it's not the only one. The municipalities also receive a share of the sales tax that are generated throughout the state. Initially, it was 5%, then Governor LePage reduced it to 2%. Janet Mills, when she was elected, raised it gradually back up to the 5%. When I was in the legislature, I was never asked by anybody in the town to work on an issue. Nothing. But obviously, things are bothering the town and its leaders. So I would go to our elected representatives and say, we need an increase in the municipal revenue sharing. 5% is not enough, especially given the cuts in federal assistance, which are going to impact our schools dramatically. Right now, we get about 10% of our funding from the feds. And I don't know where that money's going to come from. So, and there's many other ways in which federal grants have helped the town. So we need another source of income. So that's one. The other thing we should be working on is broadening our base of commercial development, because those entities can bring not only tax revenue, property tax revenue, but just bring more spending and wealth into the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. So now we're going to go over to the school committee. So as we have all heard and know, Yarmouth is known for its outstanding schools, which provide amazing and great value to the students and the community. But the growing costs are a concern. So what is your approach to ensuring that Yarmouth maintains its high-quality education while also being fiscally responsible towards the taxpayers? So we're going to start with Tracy.
I think that's the million-dollar question, right? How do we keep doing all of these great things and do it for less or for even the same anymore? And we've just heard about how federal funds are likely to be cut, and so we're already looking at how do we work from a deficit model. I think that's a hard question, and I think there's no one simple answer to that, but I do think that educators and townspeople are known for really thinking through carefully what's best for kids and how can we do that in the best possible, most effective, cost-effective way. So as evidenced by the recent budget that's being put forward, there were some hard decisions made about not adding teachers to the staff, letting a few teachers retire, and assuming a greater class size, which is not something most educators would support, but in this case made good sense in order to defray some of the other costs that were more important. I think it comes down to balancing out what we can do to be helping our students to do their best and to thrive, as well as to be fiscally responsible and make sure that we are taking care of all of the community members, not just students, not just staff, but everybody in the town who is contributing to that community. And I think it's a matter of really looking at priorities, really trying to balance out what makes sense in the moment and what we have and what we're willing to do with and what we're willing to do without, as well as what we really need in order to make things work.
Thank you, Tracy. Tom?
Thank you. Yeah, you're right. It is the question that I've heard most as I've gone through talking to people. And the reality is there are certain costs that you really can't sacrifice in Yarmouth. You can't give up the wonderful teachers we have. You have to keep and retain the quality educators because that is what makes the Yarmouth schools. We've already gone through the building process. We've renovated the buildings. That cost is already there. So for me, the area we have to look to are the ones that we can impact. Can we negotiate better insurance costs? Is there an option out there where we can get the same or better healthcare for our teachers but save money? I don't know the answer to that yet. I've been in the insurance business for 25 years. I'd like to get in there and look and be a part of that solution if we can find it. But there are only certain places within this school budget that savings can be found without cutting quality. And I think we really need to dig into those and fight to get those down for the taxpayers without sacrificing the value we have in the town.
Great, thank you. Now, Emily?
So it's hard to follow two very eloquent people. I think that I would come in, I'm really interested. I really trust Dr. Doloff. He has years of experience. He has so much knowledge. I'm not in the financial industry for a reason. I'm not a financial person. It's not my thing. I also have worked in insurance. I know how to look at quality. I know how to ensure that we're paying the right amounts. I'm happy to do that and see if I can make a difference. But really, to me, it'll be listening to the community, listening to the administrators. I want to make sure that we're as transparent as we can be and make sure everyone knows exactly what we're looking at and what we're doing. And just because it's not my area of expertise doesn't mean there isn't someone, a neighbor that I can talk to who can share insight. So I'm really interested in just engaging with the community and being open to ideas and discussion and working with Dr. Doloff to make the best choices we can, again, for everybody in town. It's not just about the kids. It's about all of us coming together and making it work.
Thank you. Now, this question is going to be going back to the town council candidates. What is your approach to engaging with residents and fellow committee members who may have differing opinions or concerns about town policies or other issues? And we're going to start with Janice.
Thank you. Yesterday, when I went to my church, we were assigned to write down our wish for ourselves, and mine was listen more, talk less. So that is my goal. And one thing I learned when I was running for the legislature, I went door to door to hundreds and hundreds of houses, and I met people of all stripes, and and not only was it a pleasant experience, surprisingly, having a stranger knock on your door and ask, "What do you think? What do you want? What do you want me to do?" That's different. They had good ideas, and so I would follow in the lead of other members of the council in having open forums, coffee clutches, whatever, and as a way of hearing what's on their minds, what's bothering them, what their ideas are for change. Everybody's experience is different, and everybody's idea for how to deal with it is unique. So we can work on that and gain from that, and that would be my approach.
Great, thank you. Now Zoe.
Oh no, another question I could talk about for 10 minutes. As a mental health therapist, this is sort of my bread and butter. I spend day in and day out talking with folks about their experiences and the way that life hits them, because it all hits us so differently. The way that I've tried to serve in my time on the council is, of course, as Janice mentioned, by listening, which is so important, but also by being truly curious, curious about what it is that makes somebody think a certain way, how they've arrived at the conclusions that they've arrived at, and then employing a lot of humility, knowing that I've only been in this town for 6 years. I couldn't possibly know the origin story for every important issue in the town, but I want to know it, and I want to hear from folks about what their experience has been like over their lifetime here. I also think that we are in a political moment where up is down and left is right, and to organize ourselves around old paradigms of liberal and conservative, or Republican and Democrat, that it just isn't working anymore. I want to know somebody for their heart, for what they care about, and for what they can bring to our community. And I really enjoy serving because I get to hear that from people every time I get to talk to people. So I hope to have a second term where I can continue to build on that skill set and make deeper connections in the community. Sometimes get yelled at, frankly, because that happens too. But honestly, that's part of it. I also think that people's anger is okay right now. And I think it's my responsibility as an elected official to be able to hold some of that anger and hear deeply with my heart first where they're coming from. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Zoe. So next we have a question for school committee. And we're going to start with Tom on this one. How would you navigate decisions about curriculum content and access to educational materials when parents, educators, and community members might have differing views on what is appropriate for students?
That's a great question, and I will echo what Zoe just said. We have to listen to everybody. We can't be elected to a position representing the town and come in and force our own personal views without considering what everybody has to say. Now, at the end of the day, we need to take all of those opinions and come up and formulate our own. But I do think that the key is having open dialogue, respectful dialogue, which I think is the key to that. If people come with their thoughts and opinions and do it in a respectful manner, I think everybody will listen and consider their thoughts. But at the end of the day, if they're differing, we can't satisfy everybody. So as a school committee, we're going to have to come up with tough decisions. You can't make everybody happy, but you certainly can listen, consider, and explain your reasoning behind your decisions so there's transparency in it. And I think people can respect that if they understand the whys and where the decision came from. Thank you.
Emily.
Thank you. So again, I agree. Like we have to listen to each other. We have to talk to each other. We need to know where everyone is coming from. I think that we can all get behind a common goal, which is our kids being happy and successful, kids in town being safe and happy and successful, and that should not look that different, no matter who you are. You know, a happy kid is a happy kid, and a safe kid's a safe kid. So I think that just bringing it back to the priorities and what's important, and reminding everyone that we're here trying to support our children every day, that's really what it's going to come down to. And the school has a great mission. They have a great mission statement. They have a mission committee, and the town has a great mission that they work towards as well. So I think as long as we rely on our core here in the town of Yarmouth, we'll be able to get through any challenge as long as we're able to speak with each other. So that's kind of how I see it. We would just come together and have a conversation.
Great, thank you. Now Tracy.
Thanks. As a teacher, I get excited when someone says curriculum, because that's what I do all day. Just talk about that and plan for that, and have a lot of rich discussion around that. But as a school committee member, that would not be my role. That's left to the educators in the town to decide what's right. As a member of the school committee, I think, again, as Tom and Emily mentioned, listening is really important. I don't think, as Tom mentioned, that we'll ever get everyone to agree on everything. None of us live in a utopia, but we can come to consensus. We can do battle for the town and for all its constituents, to make sure that all voices are heard, and to make sure that everybody's been represented when we do make a decision. And I think that whole idea of sharing that decision and having been thoughtful all the way through the process is a really critical component. And I think when it comes down to content being taught or curriculum being taught that people may not agree with, I think it's really important to consider the lens that everyone is valued, and it doesn't matter where you come from or what your belief system is, that every child going through that system has value and brings value to the community, and we need to be respectful of all of those people that make up our community and support everyone in being their best selves, whatever that takes.
Great, thank you. We're heading back to town council for this one. So if you can imagine yourself in a few years from now completing your time of service, what would you like to be able to look back on as your legacy, and what efforts would be on the top of your list of accomplishments? And we're going to go to Zoe.
Yeah. So the two areas that I am really interested in focusing my next term on, if I'm so lucky, are affordable housing and land conservation. I think that to a lot of folks, those two things sound like they're in opposition, but in my heart of hearts, I know that they are essential to each other. So I would like to say that we successfully acquired new land, especially new land that allowed people in town to have access to the water. I think that that's, and obviously it's Yarmouth, like that's why people live here, to have access to nature and the shoreline. That's one of the reasons. Sorry, school board. Another big reason. And I think that a lot of times when we think about affordable housing, we think about sprawl, or we think about mega complexes. We don't think about some of the more innovative ways that we can go about bringing affordable housing projects into town, whether that's by using land that's already developed and developing it more efficiently to include more units for more folks, whether it's converting existing buildings into affordable housing, or whether it's something as innovative as the Cleve Street project that we have going in behind Town Hall, where we're actually utilizing what was a parking lot and turning it into 18 units of affordable housing for folks. That to me is in alignment with a goal for land conservation, because it looks at land that isn't really doing much for anybody, parking lot, turns it into a safe place for 18 families to live, or individuals to live, and allows us to look strategically about open space and how we can go about conserving that, so that the folks that move to town can enjoy the beauty of this town as well. Thank you.
Now Janice.
Thank you. I live in the village, and it's always been a beautiful place, but one change that I've noticed is some of the smaller houses are becoming McMansions. And, you know, they get added on to because there's just so much wealth coming into the town, at least that part of it. I know in the outlying areas that isn't so much the case. So my legacy that I would like is, I have a sign now on my lawn that says something like, Maine welcomes everyone. And that's what it should be. It should be people like me who are on a fixed income, who are seniors, who can't afford McMansions and can't, and are having a hard time paying their property taxes. And it should be the workers who toil in the town hall and can't afford to live here. I agree with Zoe that affordable housing is a key, should be a key goal of our government. And I myself have an ADU in the back of my yard. It's just a studio, but it pays my mortgage because I have a nice 3% interest rate. And I bought the house a long time ago. So, yeah, fill in the dense areas with more housing. Now, not everybody's going to like that. They don't like density necessarily, but it's the only way that we will be able to accommodate people who want to live here but can't afford the big houses that are going up.
Thank you. So this next question will go towards the school committee, and a few of actually have already commented on this, so I'm excited to hear you expand. So cell phone use among students has become a growing concern in schools nationwide. What is your perspective on managing cell phone use during the school day, and how would you balance student well-being, educational focus, and family communication needs? We're going to start with Emily.
Great. I'm excited to talk about this. So I shared a little bit earlier. I've got two teenage nieces. One's graduating from high school this weekend, who had the privilege of going to Chewonki, where they couldn't even bring their cell phones onto campus. They lived on campus for a semester, and she had the best experience. She absolutely loved it. Not for every kid, obviously. And then I have another niece who went to Yarmouth schools and had her cell phone restricted, and now goes to Morris and Bath, where they have to put in one of those baggies where they can't do anything with it all day. And she loves her cell phone. So when I called her earlier this week and asked her, I fully expected her to say that she hates it. And she really talked about how she likes the social interaction that she has with her friends at lunch. And she said, I do miss being able to text mom during the day, but it's really great actually talking to my friends at lunch. That to me says a lot. If a kid who's totally attached to her phone can have this experience where it's restricted and she can text her parents, but then she goes to a different school and she still feels like she's able to get what she needs from her parents during the day, but then have that social interaction with her friends. It's really amazing. It's spectacular. So I'd be really supportive of having a more restrictive cell phone policy. I do think what Tom mentioned earlier, it's critical that we teach technology to our kids in the world that we're in. I work virtually, I work remotely, we use AI all the time. I think it's critical our kids know how to use these tools, but they can be taught in a technology class without having to have their cell phones in their hands.
Thank you. Now to Tracy.
Agreed. Technology use is a really important facet of any education system in this day and age, and most of our students and young people are native users of all of that technology, so we're struggling to keep up with what they know. So technology use different than cell phone use, I think, when we talk about schools and what the purpose for technology is. That said, cell phone use, I think, is something that we are all working on trying to get a handle on. And I think Yarmouth is doing a very good job of looking critically at what the practices are and is going to continue to do that. And I look forward to those discussions continuing. I have a graduating senior, as I've mentioned, and cell phones are very important. But the cell phone garages that were implemented in the past year at the high school have definitely allowed for more face-to-face interaction and more communication. That said, I don't think there was a dearth of that prior to cell phones being put into those garages. I think that a lot of our educators do a good job of creating community and making sure that students are getting that face-to-face time. I think as far as family communication, that's something that we as parents and community members need to think about and our role in that part of the process as well. We can do a lot as educators in the venue of a school to establish expectations for students. But when there are parents who are finding their way through and subverting those expectations and putting their kids in a position of feeling like they have to answer a text or answer a call, that's a difficult place for a young person to be. And there's nothing in any of our school systems that stops parents from calling in the old-fashioned way and letting them know that their student has a message that can be given to them at any of the offices or at any point during the day. So I don't think cell phone use has to affect family communication at all. I do think it is about responsible use and teaching students how to be responsible with those devices.
Great, thank you. And now Tom.
Great, thank you. I agree with so much that has been said. Like Zoe, this is a topic I could go on for a long time about. We've been parents of a 12-year-old, talking with a number of parents within her grade, doing the wait until 8, making sure that the cell phones are not impacting them, not just in the schools and in the classrooms, but I mentioned it before, with mental health, there's so much research out there about the impact that cell phones have on the developing brains of young kids. There are so many books that can be read. The Anxious Generation, a great book about this. The fact that the developers of iPhones don't let their kids have them should tell us something. So I do think that it's something we need to look at. I don't think we can come up with a one-size-fits-all policy either, because I think a senior in high school is very different than a fourth grader. Kids are getting phones younger and younger. We're going to have to really consider how each age level will be impacted by this. I do firmly believe that they do not need to be in the schools. Like Tracy said, we all got through school as kids without cell phones, and our parents were able to communicate with us. I remember making collect calls, and they came and picked me up. Like, we can come up with solutions like we did back then. So I do believe that we need to really, really dig into this one. And for me, a lot of this is less about disruption in the classroom and more about making sure that our kids' mental health is protected. There's a lot of anxiety that comes through the use of phones as kids, and I think we need to protect them. That's the job of adults, is to teach our kids and to protect them when we can.
Thank you. So, as you all can see, there are 5 really amazing candidates who are seeking election. Intelligent, dedicated, and eager to serve, and these are all really amazing qualities. So we are going to conclude things with final remarks from each of the candidates, and we have a little bit of time, so we can do 3 minutes each with this to extend it. But as your last remarks, tell us why someone should vote for you. This is your platform to share anything we haven't touched on, things that matter to you, and to get people who are here in attendance and viewing online just a little bit more about you. So we are going to start with Zoe. So 3 minutes.
Oh my gosh, a lifetime. I am so grateful to be a resident of this town. My husband and I often joke that we bought the first house we had the opportunity to buy. The house we live in now is our forever home, and how lucky we are about that. Like, wow. I'm so proud to be raising my son here. He is 18, 19, something shy of 2 years old, somewhere between 1.5 and 2. And watching him enjoy this community has been such a gift. seeing how this community has moved through the COVID epidemic, pandemic, social isolation, being here for all of that has just impressed upon me that this is really a community of people who care about each other and who will show up when times are tough. And so I am so grateful to have been able to serve these past 3 years, and I would be so excited to be able to serve over the next 3. I do think that something that stands out about me as a candidate and also as a counselor is that I am able to hold things that should be opposing at the same time. I was lectured by my father from a young age in the art of Hegelian dialectics. And the importance of understanding that things that seem to be in contradiction with each other are working with each other, are pulling on each other, not to rip each other apart, but to find resolution. And I believe that strongly in this moment, especially, that we may feel that the fabric of what is important to us is ripping, but I actually think that underneath that, something is getting stronger. And I have seen that in so many interactions I've had with individuals in this community who come to me, they care deeply about something. Sometimes they're angry about it. We can talk about it. Both of our minds can change. We can come to a place of deeper understanding with each other. And that gives me a lot of hope. A lot of hope as a person who lives in this town, a lot of hope as a person who made the decision to start a family in the midst of what some people are afraid is the end of the world. I don't think it is, and I think it's because of communities like this that we are actually moving into a beautiful next phase. So I would be so excited to continue serving, to continue advocating for folks at the margins, to continue to advocate for the natural environment of this town that we love, and ultimately to continue to invest in this community and build connections with the people who I'm surrounded by every day, who I'm lucky enough to call my neighbors and my friends. So thank you.
Thank you, Zoe. Janice.
Thank you. As I mentioned, I served in the legislature until 5 years ago. The desire to serve Yarmouth is still in my bones, however. Sitting on the town council seems like an appropriate next step. I believe my time in the legislature, as well as my work for Congress in Washington and again in Maine, where I worked for Congressman Tom Allen in his district office in Portland, helped prepare me for this task. These experiences helped me understand both the process of making law and many of the policy issues that will come before the council, but also it taught me how to listen to constituents and appreciate the sincerity from which they're coming, whether their views agreed with mine or not. So I try to be as flexible as possible. I also think that my training as a lawyer will help me in this work. Lawyering has a bad name these days, I suppose, but it does teach you to challenge facts and to work with rules that you believe in, the rule of law, the Constitution, fairness, justice, all those things must play out at the local level as well as the state and national level. And I will certainly abide by those principles, and they're very, very deeply imbued in me. So I'm ready now for a new challenge. Responding to the needs of my neighbors closer to home will present new challenges, but I'm confident that I'm ready to take this on. I promise always to be open to new ideas and competing views. We are more united than at odds. Of that, I am certain. Thank you.
Thank you, Janice. Now we are going to go to Tracy.
First, I would like to thank everyone who planned this evening's event, who encouraged me to step out of my back row seat and share my passion as an educator in a new way. And to everyone who participated tonight, either by sending in questions or by being here tonight. I'm so proud that Yarmouth isn't just a place that has a great school system. It's full of great people who make conscious choices to engage in great discussions and hard work that's required to keep up a town that's as wonderful as this. It's been especially humbling to sit and listen to everybody talk about what's so wonderful about this town. And I'm really excited to have a chance to take part in it in a new way. I believe that it's important to keep having rich discussions about the issues that matter, and I'm excited to collaborate with all stakeholders on behalf of our students. I believe that our community values all voices, and I look forward to being an active listener as a member of the school committee. I believe that public education is a right, and that with it comes a responsibility to consider the needs of all members of the town, students, families, employees, residents, when we make decisions about how to best create an environment that will give people what they need to thrive as young students. We've talked tonight about some questions that don't have one simple answer, and I'm ready to bring my problem-solving skills to the table. I'm also ready to bring some quick thinking and some ability to shift as a teacher of many young people who constantly throw new things at me at a moment's notice. Once again, I'm Tracy Nieder. I'm running for school committee, and I'm asking for your vote on June 10th. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Tom.
Thank you. So when my wife and I moved to Yarmouth 18 years ago, we didn't know if we were going to have kids. Yarmouth was known for phenomenal schools, but we just fell in love with the town. We looked at Yarmouth, and it was us. And so we came here knowing that this was going to be our home, and the town was going to be critical to us. I started coaching at the high school and started to meet the kids in Yarmouth. And I realized what an amazing school the Yarmouth system is, and the kids that it created. They're now having families, these kids. They're going to weddings, and it basically inspired me to get involved in the school committee now. My kids are at the point where I have the time to do it and commit to it. And I'm asking for your vote if you want somebody on the committee who is going to be approachable. I'm there to listen. I'm authentic. What you see is what you get. I don't have anything written down tonight. I just came and wanted you to see me for who I am. I'm happy to have a conversation about anything, anytime. I'm not going to be calculated. I don't have an agenda. I'm not political. I just want to get involved and help our kids, support our school system, support our teachers, and not get in the way. It's not broke. I don't need to fix it. I just need to make sure that we improve areas that we can, and make sure that we continue to thrive. So if you want somebody who has those characteristics, please vote for me on June 10th. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Emily.
I'm really excited because I really don't think you can go wrong. If you listen to all the people up here, everyone is doing it for the right reasons. We all care about the town. We all care about the community. We all care about our kids. It feels really good to live here and to be sitting up here with all these people. It's really encouraging to me. It makes me really happy. I have a lot of passion around serving our community. I love engaging on committees, and it brings me joy. It really makes me happy. It fills my cup. So I hope that you vote for me for school committee. I'm committed to fostering an inclusive community in our schools. I want to continue to keep them great. I agree. I don't think they're broken. I don't think we need to fix them. Just continuing to support them to be the best they can and making sure that our community voices are heard. And I'm here kicking around, and anytime I'm happy to talk. So I'd be honored if any of you would vote for me on June 10th.
Thank you. So this concludes the questions that we have tonight for our candidates. I'd like to thank them all for sharing their views, their their passions. Clearly, everyone cares, which is a really delightful thing to see. And we appreciate it so everyone can be a better informed voter come next week. A thank you to everyone in attendance for tonight. After we conclude tonight's session, there's going to be an opportunity to talk to people, so feel free to stay afterwards. But don't forget that Election Day is next Tuesday, the 10th. The polls are at the high school, and make sure that your voice is heard. So get out and vote and talk to these people and get engaged. So on behalf of the Yarmouth Chamber of Commerce, it's been a pleasure being here and an opportunity to meet a lot of people for those who are going for town council and for school committee. So we will see you next year. So I'm
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
At town meeting.
That's right, town meeting tomorrow night. But yeah, good plug. Thank you. Otherwise, have a great night, everybody. Thank you.